Hi, this is Donny Lowy from Closeout Today I'd like to discuss with you the very high demand for USA wholesale clothing. There's a very big demand for American brand name clothing, whether it's clothing that's actually manufactured in the United States or it's clothing that's manufactured for the American market. As you may know, a lot of the clothing in the United States is actually imported from China. But the reason the clothing is still very high quality as compared to clothing sold in other countries that also import their clothing from China is because of the quality standards that American importers, American wholesalers, and American retailers demand. So factories in China that are making clothing for the American market are going to make it to be higher quality. They're going to use better materials. It's going to be more fashionable. Often the designs are provided by American designers. So it's going to be a lot nicer than the clothing that might be sold to a third world country. That's the reality. Now, as far as other American wholesale clothing, you have actually brand name clothing where the brands are based in the United States, such as Polo Ralph Lauren, Tommy Hilfiger, Nike, could be Kenneth Cole, Steve Madden, Nine West. There are many different brands that are based in the United States. And even if their clothing and their shoes are made overseas, it's still being made to their qualifications. So the clothing that they're importing into the United States is going to be very high quality. They generally sell that clothing to department stores, to high-end boutiques, to retail chains. So if you're able to buy that clothing as overstock in the wholesale market, you're going to have very high quality clothing and very fashionable clothing. Having said that, the reason why so many importers from Africa, whether they're wholesalers, whether they're retailers, or whether they're a boutique in the Caribbean or they're a store in the Middle East, the reason why you have so many different retailers who want American wholesale clothing is because they want the American brand names, especially with the advent of the internet and all the travel that happens on an international basis. The American brands have gotten a great reputation overseas for being high quality, for being very fashionable, and as the media portrays American brands in a very positive way, there's more of a demand for those American brand names overseas. Within the categories of clothing, I've seen very big demand for brand name jeans, brand name dresses, brand name suits for women, and of course there's also demand for footwear, for accessories, for handbags. But what I can see from my experience as a wholesaler in New York is that customers are willing to travel to the United States. They're willing to pay for a ticket. They're willing to pay for a hotel. They're willing to travel around New York and search for brand name American clothing. So if you are a wholesaler in the United States, I would recommend that you market your clothing overseas. And if you are a retailer or a wholesaler outside of the United States, you should definitely consider purchasing American wholesale clothing because there already is a very strong and I believe proven demand for the brand names overseas. Having said that, different brands have different popularity levels, and depending on the country that you're located in, so certain brands are going to be more in demand, other brands might not be known. But the advantage of bringing an unknown brand into your country is that if the brand gains popularity, you're going to be the primary seller for that brand. And by the time other retailers and wholesalers start importing that brand, you'll have already captured a large segment of the market because you're the first one who set himself or herself up to sell that brand name clothing. And another benefit of dealing with a brand name that isn't well known in your country is that if it was made for the American market, you can be confident that the quality was very high and that it's very fashionable. So when your customers see it, they're going to be impressed with the quality and hopefully they'll also like the style. But of course, styles vary in every country, so you need to know your customers anytime before you buy any clothing and any other wholesale merchandise for that matter. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this video. The next time you're in New York, please visit my warehouse. My website is closeoutexplosion.com. Have a great day.